Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show, Red Pill Edition. My name is Leon Jones, and in this segment, I want to talk about corporations because the corporations include media. And it's very important that you understand this topic because what we have going on in this country is big corporations like your social media, your news media, and your tech giants are basically influencing this election. So, the title of this morning's video: Big corporations are influencing this election. Big corporations are influencing this election. Now, if you have watched my videos in the past, I talked about the 5 power conferences here in societies or here in this society. Now, if you don't know what they are, I'm going to go over them again for you. First, you have the government, the corporations or the private sector jobs, education, media, and religion. These entities are all driven by big money. All the fat cats have an influence in what goes on in our lives, like the Rothschilds, George Soros, Michael Bloomberg, your celebrities. Now, it's very important that everyone who has not voted look at the issues closely and do not allow big corporations that include media, social media, and of course tech giants influence your vote. Now, if you look at the economy as a whole, it is a V shape. We started off with a good economy. The unemployment was around 3% or 3.3%. I'm guessing right now it could be in the upper sixes. Still has a way to go. But if you look at the GDP, the numbers that came out, we are at 33%. Now, for all of you who are going out here voting, one thing the media is going to do, they're going to try to put the polls up there. Now, I was watching Fox News last night and I saw Ari Fleischer and I saw another gentleman. He was from Trafalgar Polling. Now, I don't trust Ari Fleischer or any of these other goons who are running the George Bush campaign because they're all establishments. Now, when it comes to polling, the media believes that Joe Biden has the election in the bag. However, polls sample likely voters. But what individuals don't understand when it comes to polls, let's say if 1,000 Democrats were sampled, that's likely voters. But we don't know out of that 1,000 Democrats who they're really voting for. See, the real poll is November 3rd. Everybody needs to get out there to vote. Now, if you look at what's going on, you basically have the establishment versus us. And see, the establishment thinks they know more than we do. Now, my humble opinion is if Joe Biden gets in, we're going to go back to the same old establishment running everything, and the Hunter Biden story will be swept under the rug. Now, speaking of the Hunter Biden story, one thing that I will take from this election is that the news media, the corporate news media, is very corrupt. The corporate news media will not report on his Hunter Biden story. Now, if Donald Trump's sons had done the same money laundering or alleged money laundering scam, this news would be all over the mainstream media. Now, you have to understand that the mainstream media is run by corporations. Fox News is being run by Disney. NBC, MSNBC, CNBC. CNBC is a business channel. But going back to NBC and MSNBC, they're run by Comcast. And a number of us who have Comcast are paying for expensive cable. But Comcast has a network that's strictly in the pocket of the Democratic Party. You have your tech giants like Facebook, Twitter. And if we allow the establishment, these corporations, to run our lives, we have no country left. So in the end, when you go out to vote, vote on the issues. Don't vote because you don't like the other guy. I know that many voters are voting because they don't like Trump. Well, if you don't care about your life and your country, you shouldn't be voting. And in my opinion, as a black man, if you vote Democrat, you're voting for beta males, feminism, LGBTQ. You're voting for higher taxes. You're voting for these corporations to run your life. You're voting for massive lockdowns. You're voting for open borders. You're voting for abortion. You're voting for all these corporate giants who want to silence half the country, because these corporate giants want to have all the power over us. You're voting against small businesses. And when it comes to hardworking people, we outnumber all these elitists. But in the end, when it comes to politics, many of us really don't understand politics, particularly African Americans. If you're going to get involved in politics, you must understand lobbying, you must have money, you must take an issue to the table, and the issue should be well organized. Many of us in this country are watching television. Now, smaller corporations do a lot better when it comes to presenting news. Now, every once in a while, I watch Fox News, but I only watch Fox News prime time. And on that prime time, the prime time slots include Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham. After that, I don't care about Fox News. Fox News is going in the tank for the Democrats as well. You used to have people like Bill Kristol. He's a Republican, but a never Trumper. And what I see going on right now with the smart American people is that they don't want the establishment running this country. And when you allow the establishment to run your life, they're going to tell you what the prices are going to be. They're going to tell you what product they're going to have for you. Then when you look at these corporations out here, they're going to monitor what you put on social media. If it's not to their liking, they're going to take it off of social media. So in the end, you lose freedom. And see, again, if you vote for the Democrats, you're voting for court packing. You're also voting for the loss of your Second Amendment rights. And the Democrats also want to add Washington and Puerto Rico as a state so they can have more electoral college votes, or let's say, put it in this context, they want to have more senators so a Republican will never be elected again. You cannot have one party rule in this country. You have to have balance. The Democrats don't want balance. In fact, a number of you who are voting Democrat need to look at the issues. Because although you might believe in this big government is not going to save you. And that's a big problem when it comes to the African American community. A number of them believe in big government. And if you vote for the Democrats, they're anti-male, they're anti-father, they're anti-family. Now, I know a number of older brothers, older sisters, because they're still stuck in the 1960s, they're going to vote for the Democrats. These are the individuals who are not abreast of the issues. Because if a person is really abreast of the issues, they would look what's going on, or they would look at what's going on around them. Now, if you're in a state like Michigan, North Carolina, or Pennsylvania, and some of these blue states who are still shut down, why would you vote for the guy that's going to keep you shut down? Now, I'm going to say something real radical. If you want to defeat all these corporations, small guys are going to have to come together, build websites to pass out information. Also, utilize email. Start an email list. Email goes a long way. If you have to print out brochures, sometimes you got to spend money to get your point across. Let's say if social media bans all the conservative information. Email, brochures, they all work. But there has to be more conservative sites created. Now, I know there's Patriot News, there's OAN, Newsmax, and The Blaze. And of course, there's conservative talk radio. As little people, we need individuals who know what's going on. Again, the problem with what's going on in this country is we have too much government, too big of corporations that are running everything. And the news is out of control. I don't understand why the news won't talk about the Hunter Biden story. I don't even understand why the news, the mainstream media, doesn't ask Biden any questions. Oh, yes, I do. They're in the tank for Biden. I mean, when I wake up and I listen to Joe Scarborough and Joy Reid and Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo, these are individuals who are getting paid big time, and they're doing what they're told to do. Now, my humble opinion, I believe after this election, these big media moguls, they're going to let a number of individuals go. Now, if Biden wins the election, some of the media moguls may work in the Biden administration. If Biden doesn't win, what I believe is going to happen is you're going to have a number of these media moguls out of work. And that brings me to another point. Corporations. Your education system is also run by the establishment. You look at your colleges out here. Colleges are very expensive. But a number of these colleges, they're not teaching your children anything. Children today don't know anything about civics. They don't know about the three branches of government. They don't have any idea about what a vocation is. Many of them don't know how to write. They don't know how to speak. Many of them are going to school to get a degree in something that's not marketable. And when I talk about somebody being educated, I'm merely saying that you can get the degree, but you have to apply the tools of the degree to the real world. Academia does not teach you about the real world. Now, looking at the electorate right now, some of these young folks may break from blue to red because they don't want to be locked down. Now, if you turn on the news and you hear Joe Biden speak, everything is doom and gloom. Well, he wants everything to be doom and gloom because maybe not him, but he is a puppet. Joe Biden will be a puppet, and he's being pulled in by the radical left. Now, I do not dislike Democrats. You have some decent Democrats out there like Joe Lieberman, Harold Ford, Scoop Jackson. I know Andrew Young, Douglas Wilder, who was the first black governor in the United States. I know Dew Burns, he was okay. He was the governor of Baltimore. Kurt Schmoke. He was the mayor of Baltimore. Correction. You had Clarence Mitchell. Dew Burns was the mayor of Baltimore before Kurt Schmoke became the mayor of Baltimore. So you have had some decent Democrats. But if you look at the Democrats now, they're no longer Democrats. These Democrats are socialists. These Democrats believe that they know more than you know. And if you turn on the media, The View, those individuals, those ladies, they don't know anything about politics. They don't even know anything about living in the Midwest. They live these cosmopolitan lifestyles where everything is about spending money on pocketbooks, coffee, living in condos, enjoying that fast life. They don't know what it is to grow their own food. They don't know what it is to produce anything. And see, going to school to work for the media is not a good job. You get in there, you're already indoctrinated, you're going to get more and more indoctrinated. And in this country, going back to what I said, you really want something radical? You really want the Electoral College to work? Let's have the winners of the counties, the winners of your counties, determine the election. Because if that were to happen, places like California, New York, they wouldn't decide the election. You know, you hear the term swing voters. From my humble opinion, you should know who you want to vote for right now. It's getting late. If you don't know who you're going to vote for, don't vote. Wait till the next election. But you should have already gotten abreast of the issues. Now, what scares me is you have a lot of uninformed voters who are going to listen to this corporate media. And if you look at religion, that's also corporate. And a number of these churches have to do what the state tells them to do because they're under 501c3. And if you are listening to this video, you should understand where I'm going with this. big tech, big corporate media, and a lot of these other establishments who are in the form of elitists. They want to run our life. They want to tell us what we can do, what we cannot do. Now, I'm going to say this. If there is early voting, individuals need to get out there and vote. And this election is not just for the president, but what about your state elections? Now, I live here in Indiana, so I know that there's a gubernatorial race going on. I know the House races are going on. We'll also have to look at the Senate. Now, the Supreme Court. Donald Trump already put his last pick for right now in the Supreme Court. And I hope a number of women see that. But looking at these suburban women out here, have an issue with them. They're talking about COVID. First of all, a number of people get the flu every year and don't die. If you have a good immune system, you're not going to die from COVID. But again, you have these so-called suburban or college-educated women who aren't very smart. These are the ones who want to follow every rule. They want to snitch on you if you're not wearing a mask. These are the Karens out there. These are the ones who are voting left. Now, I live in the Midwest, and a number of them live in the Chicago area. You have a few of them who live in Carmel and Fishers, because I live in the state of Indiana, here in the Lafayette area. But I don't worry about my state of Indiana. Indiana has 11 electoral college votes. Indiana is definitely going red. But the state that's next to me, Illinois, for the most part, Illinois is a red state except for the Chicago area. Again, if we actually get more radicalized about the electoral college, the winner of every municipality, or we call them counties and cities, should determine who wins the electoral votes from that state. We go too much by the population. We can still do that, but let the counties decide, because your elections are determined by individuals who are in your state, and states have a lot of power. Many individuals don't understand that. This is why you have people who are moving from California to Texas and Arizona. Problem I have with that is, if you are liberal and you're trying to move to a red state, keep your liberal views back where you came from. And this is what's going on in North Carolina, Virginia. You have a number of individuals leaving these high tax states, because even you liberals out there, you know taxes are high. You don't want your taxes raised because, again, Joe Biden, he wants to basically eliminate the oil industry. He wants to raise the corporate tax rate to 28%. And what's going to happen? Jobs are going to leave this country, and we're going to go back to the way things are. Our politicians are already bought. They're going to continue to be bought by China, by Russia. So, I'm bringing you this content because I want you to be informed. Now, you don't have to believe everything that I say. I'm just giving you my research and my point of view, but you should not be voting based off of something you heard in the news. And corporations do this, and they do it smartly. They know a number of individuals aren't very smart. So what they're going to do is basically tell individuals who have no sense, who are uninformed, what they want to hear to make them feel good. When you're voting based on your feelings, that's destructive. Again, these corporate giants want to control us. We cannot allow that to happen. This country was not founded on communism and socialism. This country was founded by individuals who adopted a parliamentary system, 3 branches of government to create checks and balances. Well, what you have now are Democrats who want to change that. Now, it's up to us to keep that from happening. This is why I say, if you're going to go vote early, if you're going to mail in your vote, know who you are voting for. In fact, there are some people who want to change their vote. Now, that'll get a little sticky as well. But overall, before you go vote, look at the issues that are affecting you. Many of us who get up and go to work every day are thinking about the economy. I'm not thinking about COVID. I protect myself with a mask every day. I do physical exercises, take vitamin C. I make sure I get checkups. And see, with this COVID, you have Dr. Fauci. He said on one hand, you don't need the mask, but then he turns around and says on the other hand, everybody should wear a mask. You hear Joe Biden out there saying, look at the science. Well, you have a number of individuals who are doctors who understand the science. But some of these doctors may see the science very different. But the bottom line is, you have to look at what's happening. No, Joe Biden is blaming the president for the COVID, but he did say something about it in January, but he was called xenophobic. The media really didn't point that out. And see, the real enemy in this election is your corporate news media. They're your billionaires like Michael Bloomberg and George Soros. They're your tech giants like YouTube, and Google owns YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. But one thing I do know when it comes to the American people, and it's been shown through this year of the COVID, they find innovative ways to make money. You see, if we, the working people, continue to be smart, we can keep our freedom. Now, again, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, conservative, or liberal. You should want freedom. You should want freedom of thought. You should want freedom of ideas, because that creates a balanced society. But big corporations, big government, they want to dictate to us what we can say, what we can feel. To me, that's a Gestapo. That's what they had in Germany. We're not Germany. But if you vote for these left-wingers because you listen to the left-wing media who's not going to do anything about the Hunter Biden situation because they're covering it up, they're not going to ask Joe Biden any tough questions, then you're voting for more corrupt politicians to come into your life, and they're going to take advantage of the system so they can enrich themselves. Meanwhile, they're going to keep individuals like you and me poor. So my question to you is this: Are you going to vote on your feelings, or are you really going to look at the issues? Look at where you are in life. And if you want to change, I understand. If you don't want to change, I understand. But don't allow the media and these big tech giants and big government to do the thinking for you. Because in the end, many of us are adults. We're not kids. And if you're African American, if you're called something because you don't want to get off the Democratic plantation, so be it. Because in America, we need to continue free thought. Free thought keeps Americans divided. Correction, free thought keeps Americans balanced, and we have a lot more ideas to be innovative. And if you don't believe me, just check it out for yourself. Because in the end, do you want freedom or do you want tyranny? You be the judge. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. You can also check out the Mind of STEM channel. On that channel, I'll give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. You can check out my Blog Talk Radio Show as well. 215-383-5785 is the number. Now, if you can't find me on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, simply check me out on Twitter and Facebook. Now, I do take donations. I have a PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. Now, what I want for you all to do is like my videos and share my videos. I'm not asking for donations. It is up to you on whether you want to donate. Now, all the links will be at the bottom of all of my videos. So, with that being said, I'm going to leave you with this. Be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Once again, I thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show right here on YouTube. Before I go, if you want to know where all my links are for my donations, they're at the bottom of all of my videos. Once again, I want you to like and share the videos. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious day. God bless you. I'm out.